Welcome back to Boringo. The film begins in New York City, where John Wick seeks refuge with the Bowery King. Spoilers ahead. Watch out and take care. In a moment of frustration, John punches a board until his knuckles bleed, catching the attention of BK. When asked if he's ready to go after the high table, John simply responds with a resolute "yeah." John embarks on a journey to Morocco, where he chases down henchmen working for the Elder on horseback. After eliminating them, John confronts the Elder to retrieve his ring, but is told it's gone. Without hesitation, John executes the Elder before departing. Back in New York, Winston and Karen are summoned by the Harbinger to meet the Marquis de Gramont, who represents the high table. They learn of the Elder's demise and the Marquis berates Winston for his failure to eliminate John. As a consequence, the Marquis condemns and destroys the New York Continental. Winston is excommunicated, and to add insult to injury, the Marquis shoots Karen, gravely wounding him. Winston remains by his friend's side as he succumbs to his injuries, regretting that it wasn't him instead. In Paris, a blind assassin named Cain is in a park where his daughter Mia is playing the violin. The Marquis compels Cain to go after John by threatening Mia's life. Reluctantly, Cain accepts, fearing for his daughter's safety. John seeks refuge at the Asakar Continental managed by his old friend Shimizu Kaji, where his daughter Akira serves as a concierge. Kaji agrees to provide secret sanctuary, although Akira remains suspicious of John. Soon, Chidai, the Marquis's right-hand man, arrives with his hit squad to lure John out. Kaji's guards engage in a deadly confrontation with the high table assassins, using arrows in the darkness. When the hitmen reach the roof, John arms himself and fights back. While Kaji's guards successfully combat most of the high table hitmen, Cain arrives and adds to the body count, strategically setting traps to detect his targets before dispatching them with sword and gun. Meanwhile, Akira joins the fight, eliminating some of Chidai's men but getting wounded in the process. John assists Akira and Kaji in escaping, while he continues to battle more assailants, wielding a pair of nunchucks. Cain eventually finds John, triggering a brief confrontation between the former friends. Reluctantly, Cain pursues John, driven by his commitment to protecting Mia. As the gunfights unfold, a tracker named Mr. Nobody and his German shepherd assist John by eliminating some of the gunmen. While Mr. Nobody initially desires the contract on John's head, he deems the current bounty insufficient, thus aiding John instead. As Kaji and Akira attempt to flee, they encounter Cain. Despite their past friendship, Kaji refuses to let Cain pursue John, resulting in a sword duel between them. Even when it seems that Kaji could escape, he continues to fight until Cain delivers a fatal blow. Akira cradles her dying father and attempts to take revenge but is advised against it by Cain, who cautions her against suffering the same fate. He assures her they will meet again. Akira heads to the train station, where she finds John and blames him for her father's death. She demands that John kill Cain or face her wrath. Winston meets with Bowery King, knowing their proximity to John makes them targets. Meanwhile, the Harbinger confronts the Marquis over the excessive bloodshed at the Asakar Continental, but the Marquis believes it is necessary not only to eliminate John Wick but also to dismantle the myth of his invincibility. Mr. Nobody pays the Marquis a visit, demanding a $23 million contract for killing John. The Marquis responds by impaling Mr. Nobody's hand and forcing him to choose between removing the knife or his ambitions. Mr. Nobody opts to remove his hand, cutting between his fingers. The Marquis agrees to honor his request. John meets with Winston at Karen's tomb, expressing condolences for the loss of their friend. Winston seeks revenge against the Marquis, thus suggesting that in order to regain his freedom from the high table, John must challenge the Marquis to a duel. Although high table duels are believed to be mere myths, Winston believes it to be their only path. John's only allies in this endeavor are his chosen family, the Rusker roamer, but they severed ties with him, tearing his ticket. With no other options, John agrees to seek them out. John travels to the Rusker roamer in Berlin, where he is met with hostility and a shotgun blast from the priest. He is subsequently tied up with a noose around his neck. However, his adoptive sister Katia, still resentful of John for the death of their father Pio, agrees to help him seek redemption. She tasks him with eliminating a German high-table member named Killer, who killed their father. John infiltrates Killer's nightclub, finding himself in the same location as Kane and Mr. Nobody, who have also been tracking him. The three assassins engage in a card game with Killer, who cheats and then sends his men to attack them. While Kane and Mr. Nobody hold their ground against the thugs, aided by Nobody's dog, John battles Killer's henchmen throughout the crowded club. Despite Killer's strength and weight advantage, John outmaneuvers his men, finally defeating Killer by slicing his neck with a card. John takes one of Killer's gold teeth as proof of his death and presents it to Katia, who approves and assists him in undergoing a ceremony where he is branded with the family crest, thus gaining their support for the duel. Winston visits the Maquis, presenting him with the official challenge document from John. The Maquis initially tries to refuse, but Winston reminds him of his obligations to the High Table and its customs, leaving him no choice but to proceed. Winston further demands that if John emerges victorious, his excommunicado status will be revoked, and the New York Continental will be rebuilt with his management reinstated. Reluctantly, the Maquis agrees, with the stipulation that he will act as John's second, implying that if John dies, so will Winston. John arrives at the Sacre Coeur in Paris to meet the Maquis for the duel, moments before sunrise. Both men prepare their pistols, ready to engage in an old-fashioned duel. They exchange gunfire, each managing to hit the other twice. On the third round, Kane shoots John in the gut, but instead of firing back, John refuses to shoot. The Maquis, eager to claim the killing blow and end John's life himself, prepares to take aim. However, Winston intervenes, calling the Maquis an arrogant fool and reminding him that John didn't fire his last round. Realizing his mistake too late, the Maquis is killed instantly as John pulls the trigger, blowing his brains out. The Harbinger declares both John and Kane free from their obligations to the High Table. John, weakened, descends the steps and utters Helen's name before collapsing. He dies as a free man. Winston and Bowery King lay John to rest next to Helen, honoring his request to be buried as a loving husband. As they walk away, Bowery King ponders whether John is in heaven or hell, to which Winston replies, "Who knows?" Bowery King takes responsibility for caring for John's dog, continuing to watch over his legacy. Remember to subscribe for more videos, turn on notifications, and leave a like to support the channel.